Welcome. This is Gentle Yoga for Cancer, and I'm Rebecca, and I welcome you on this kind of rainy, overcast day in Atlanta. I was just saying that I was on the West Coast last week, partly to see my family, which was so wonderful, and partly to attend SITAR, the Symposium on Yoga Therapy and Research that is put on by the International Association of Yoga Therapists. And it was such an incredible experience. Sadly, it was virtual. A few years ago, I got to go live in California, but it was an incredible learning experience and coming together, a lot of community. And several of the sessions were about oncology yoga. So I got a lot of wonderful inspiration and made connections with people who are doing research in the field. So it's just been wonderful. One of my teachers, Carol Krukoff, who is one of the Duke Integrative Yoga for Seniors teachers, was the keynote. And some of the things that she brought forward that I loved, these are just notes I wrote down, that healing is multidimensional. And she said that her teacher, a woman named Eleanor Ostrinsky, said that even if a condition can't be cured, healing is still possible. So, what does that mean to you? What does healing mean to you? We want to create an environment in our bodies and in our minds and in our world that promote health and are inhospitable to disease. Decreasing stress, increasing a sense of connection to community and maybe to spirituality, whatever that means to you. Moving our bodies. One of the speakers in one of the cancer oncology yoga presentations said, food, yoga, and breath is our medicine. I can help you with two of those. So let's get started in a comfortable seat. For anyone who's come in after I started, we will be using either a wall or a chair or other piece of sturdy furniture for a down dog practice. So if you need to scurry and get that, go ahead and then join us seated for our meditation practice. So find your comfortable pose for meditation, sitting up nice and tall, or of course, there's always the option to lie down, which may be more supportive. And take a moment to tune in to your sensory environment. What's around you? What do you notice? Take a look around. Look in your space. Look at the faces on Zoom. Look at what you can see of my space. And notice the colors, the textures, items of value to you, this kind of value. Maybe you can see outside and see the trees or the rain, maybe the beach. And then begin to notice your own body making contact with the earth. Maybe your feet, your bottom, your back, your hands on your lap. Begin to turn your attention more deeply inward. Maybe you'll close your eyes or take a soft gaze and open your ears as I cough to notice the soundscape. What do you hear in your space? At least one of us is at the beach, so maybe you can hear the sound of the waves. What do you notice? Can you begin to notice the sound of your breath? How do you experience your breath in your inner body? There are pranayama that make the breath audible, like ujjayi breath, or even just taking a sigh, inhaling fully, exhaling with a full sigh. So both the sensation and hearing, pardon me, hearing the breath. Tuning into the breath, feeling the breath moving through the body. Sometimes a focus on breath is not ideal. If I were in a yoga class today, a focus on breath would make me want to cough. So today, let's focus on the sensation of energy in your hands. Take a moment and notice and see if you can notice energy. If you may feel like a tingling or warmth. If you'd like, bring your hands in front of you, palms facing each other, and bring them quite close together, eyes open or closed. And see if you can feel a pulsing of energy between your hands. I'm a massage therapist and a healer with my hands, and I feel an enormous amount of energy. You may feel the same or more or less. But see if you can find this sensation of energy and then slowly begin to bring your hands apart and see if you can notice when you no longer feel the energy. Maybe you need to be very close, or maybe you can grow a big energy ball. Stay with your energy ball coming back if you lose the sensation. And then release your hands back to your lap. Let your eyes close or take a soft gaze. And now see if you notice the sensation of energy in your hands as they rest. Where else do you feel this kind of tingling energy in your body? Let's take 5 breaths, filling up, sensing the energy, and letting it go. After your 5th exhale, release control of the breath, release your consciousness into the present moment, into the room or the space you're in, coming back. So I'm interested, if we were in person, I would ask you, who felt the energy? And you can either wave at me or tell me later. But it's something that I love that practice. And we did it this morning in my morning meditation group. And we didn't do this part, but just the feeling, the energy in the hands. And so I think it's really powerful. Let's continue. Inhale and float the palms up. Can you feel the energy moving? And turn the palms down. Press down as if you're going through water. Float up as if you're dropping into the bottom of the pool. And then press down as if you're jumping back up to take your breath. Just a few more like this. And the next time that you inhale, hold for just a moment and then lower one hand and come up and over with the other. Stay with a long stretch, or maybe it's better to bend your elbow, bringing your hand behind your head, or even at your waist. What feels best? Take a few breaths, opening the side body. Inhale up through center and over to the other side. Maybe you need a different arm position on this side, and honor that. I did some Pilates yesterday and did something on the chair. This is interesting. It was a mermaid stretch, and we were kind of in this position, reaching, and then I was given the option to draw my shoulder a little forward if it felt okay, and then come back through center, and then very carefully open my chest towards the ceiling and back to the side. Inhale, and we'll do one more on the other side, reaching if you can, if it feels good, maybe turning your torso. Inhaling through center line and then maybe opening your chest. And back, up, and pause. We'll come into twist, but let's change the cross of our legs. Inhaling up. Exhale. One hand to your knee or opposite knee, the other hand behind you. Inhale, get nice and tall. Exhale, squeeze as you rotate around the column of your spine. Inhale through center and exhale to the other side. Get long, get tall, and then rotate around using your breath and your musculature. One more to each side. Can you twist with your eyes as well? Where does your gaze go? And inhale back to center. And let's move to table pose. We're going to come to hands and knees. If hands and knees does not work for you, there are a couple of options. One is to lie on your back and do the movements in that position. And the other is to stay seated. And I'll do my best to give you options to modify or take a variation. Okay, coming back here so you can see me. I'm coming to table pose. My knees are underneath my hips. Something that can be helpful if you have knee pain is to use something like a pad or a blanket, and not only does it cushion, if you walk a little bit forward so that your shins are on the cushions and your kneecaps, I don't know if you can see this, but my kneecaps are pretty much floating. And that takes the pressure off the knees. So maybe that would be helpful. If it's your wrists that give you trouble, try fists or coming down onto forearms. Hands, elbows, or knuckles underneath your shoulders. Get long. Feel your crown reaching in one direction, your tail in the other. Big inhale, lengthen, and then exhale without moving your spine. Draw your belly in. Squeeze up and in. Let the belly soften and expand on your inhale. And exhale again, squeeze the belly up and in. Two more like this. And now we'll move through cat and cow. And again, you can do these things seated or on your back. Inhale and roll the pelvis back, open the front body, reach through the crown. Exhale and tuck the pelvis, belly draws all the way up and in. Let the head release. Inhale and open, stretch through the front body. Use the breath. Exhale, again, use the exhale to draw in, squeeze in. Few more like this. And this or the next time that you come through neutral, pause for a moment. Bring your toes together and your knees wider apart and sit your heels back. If you're on your back, you can draw your knees in. And then walk your hands forward. Maybe your crown, your forehead, or your chin can rest comfortably on the ground. Maybe you need to stack fists or hands. Maybe you'd like to try a block underneath your forehead. What works? Breathing into the back body, feel it expand and open. As you exhale, exhale with a sigh, really letting go. Inhale and expand. Feel the pressure of your belly against your legs that brings the breath into the back body. As you exhale, maybe your hips sink a little closer to your heels. One more big breath. And then, if it's comfortable, walk your hands towards the far edges of your mat. Maybe you spread them a little wider. Walk your knees in just a little bit, and then press forward. So we're coming into a knee down plank. So in a knee down plank, the weight is in my hands or forearms or fists. And I'm straight in the spine from my knees, actually, all the way up to the crown of my head. Inhale and lengthen, exhale, and press all the way back into child's pose. Take a breath. Continue moving forward and back. A student has just called me, and so I'm going to call her back. So bear with me for just a second. I think she's trying to get on. Okay, thank you for your patience. I feel bad when someone can't access class. So how did you do with your knee down planks? If you're comfortable as you come forward, and again, you can be on your hands or forearms. I think fists would probably be difficult. Maybe if you're steady, strong here, you can walk 1 or 2 feet out and come into a plank. Drawing your belly in and up, working to drop your hips. But what we don't want is this sort of a sagging, right? I'd rather the hips be higher than too low. And bring your knees down and press back once more into child's pose. And in a moment, we'll have one more opportunity for plank. We're using plank as a way of building strength, building the core strength, and also having that weighted resistance that helps us to strengthen our bones. And for anyone of a certain age, especially women, and for anyone who's gone through cancer treatments like chemo and radiation, we need to be concerned about bone density. Okay, if you'd like to do one more, coming forward, maybe you stay with your knees down, or maybe you curl your toes under and come into a full plank. Keep drawing your belly in and up, engaging through your glutes, pressing through your heels, lifting, reaching through the crown of the head, and last time, knees down if they're up, and press back, maybe rock a little bit from side to side. And let's go ahead and make our way all the way up to standing. So please take your time and maybe make use of your wall or chair for a little bit of extra support. Okay, coming up to standing. Oops. Gotta find my distance and angle. There it is. Perfect. Feet hip distance apart. Maybe bring your hands to the top of your hips and rock a little bit from front to back. Come to stillness here. Inhale and lift the arms up. Maybe you look up and see your palms coming together. Can you feel that energy? Exhale, bring it to heart center. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale. Where do you notice? Can you feel the energy as the palms are coming together? Exhale to heart center. Last time. Inhale, reach, and exhale to heart center. So we're going to go ahead and work with plank pose against the wall, or you can do it on a chair if you feel strong and stable. So moving over here, you can see a little more of my studio. I'm going to walk up to my wall and be about arm's length distance away, bringing my hands out at shoulder height. I want to walk my feet back just a hair more so that I can be weight bearing into my hands. And again, you can put your fists or your forearms if this, I guess that's extension in the wrist, is uncomfortable. Make sure your arms are wide enough apart, right? We don't want to be really close together, squeezing in towards the center. And just take a moment. Notice your body position and if it's similar to the position that you had when you were in plank on the ground. And again, here, we don't want the hips to, banana forward. We want to keep integrity through the abdominals, even a little bit of glute engagement, maybe squeezing the legs towards each other to find strength. One more breath here and release it and shake it out. So working with plank gives us some of that strength. Again, we talked about bone density. We're going to move from here. I know it's hard to see me because of the light behind me. We're going to move from here into using a surface for downward facing dog. So you can work with your wall if that's what you have, or I'm going to demonstrate with a chair. So make sure that whatever piece of furniture you're using is not going to slide away from you, right? I put the front 2 feet on my mat, and that usually, actually, sometimes I like to put this pad behind. You can also put yours facing forward on your mat. I like to work from the side so you can see better. So come away from the wall or your surface so that you have maybe the distance from your hips to your shoulders. Just estimate. We'll inhale and reach up. Exhale and lower the arms. Begin to hinge right at your hips. coming forward towards either the wall or the chair. There's a certain moment when you start to round your back. See if you can notice where that is. Come back up. We'll do it again. Begin to hinge. Feel for that moment. And when you hit that moment where your back wants to round, bend your knees so you can keep sticking your butt out behind you and have a long spine. I'm going to move this a little closer. I'm bringing my hands right to the seat of the chair, or I could, you'll see my back view, but bring my hands right to the wall. So this is the beginnings of our down dog practice. So starting right here, and then walk your hands back, and inhale, come up, exhale, release. So we start here. We're in a shape that's a little bit like being on hands and knees. It's a little bit like tabletop. And then we work to begin to extend through the arms. So we can do that by working either with our forearms on the chair or on the wall. So inhaling up, get long. Exhale, lower the arms, begin to come forward. Hinging at the hips, bend your knees. Hands come to the surface. Stay here if that's where you're comfortable, or begin to walk your hands further forward. Notice how my knees are significantly bent. Actually, let me tip this down a little more so you can see the full picture. I still can't quite see my feet, almost. But you can see here how long my back is, that I'm not rounded. This is what we want to avoid. We want that length as if you're sticking your butt out behind you, knees are bent, arms are long. Let your head rest between your arms, your ears at your biceps. Feel this sensation of this elongated arm, right? The arm is reaching. This may or may not work for everyone, but experiment just a little bit here. And when you're ready, walk back and come up. And when you're working with the wall, it's the same. You're just, instead of being up here, you're walking down the wall and finding that same position. All right, so let's come all the way up to standing. We're going to come back to this in a moment when we go back down to the floor. So finding your mountain pose once again. Take a moment now to find a drishti or focal point. I'm going to turn just a little bit because I have these beautiful orchids right in front of me. So I'm going to use that because that will make me happy. Find a way to make yourself happy. Feel the rooting of your feet into the ground, the strength, the sturdiness, the stillness of the mountain. We're moving into balance, so have your support as you need it. We'll inhale and reach up, palms come together. Exhale, hands to heart center. If you need support, one hand to heart center and the other is on your support. Rooting deeply into the earth. Feel the strength of the mountain, the stillness from which the tree grows. Feel the roots going deep. Feel the length, the height of your tree right here on 2 feet. And then we'll move into the posture. Pressing down through one leg. Try not to have a big shift, right? Don't let the hip pop out. Keep it tucked up and under. Nice and strong. Float the other leg up. Turn out and place your foot you can put it down at the ankle with your toes on the ground, at the calf, or at the thigh above your knee. Feeling that connection of foot to leg, leg to foot, the strength of being up, strong, and tall over your leg. Eyes on your drishti, drawing energy up and up through heart center and in to the full canopy of your tree. feeling that energy between your hands. It's the whole canopy of your tree. Let it be flexible, strong. Bring your toes down if you need to for a little more stability. Maybe one hand is here and one is out. Big inhale and exhale. Hands to heart center, come back to 2 feet and pause. Reestablish connection. Begin to send roots through the other leg. Again, try not to let the leg pop out. Keep it firmly seated in the hip. Float the other leg up, turn out, and find your foot position on this side. Usually one side is a little more challenging than the other, or maybe a lot. Feel the connection of foot to leg to the earth, drawing energy up through the root system, through your heart, and then spread that energy wide between your palms, over your head. Be flexible, maybe bring your toes down if you need a little more support. Big inhale, open, feel the energy shooting from your fingers between your palms, and then draw it back together and to your heart, 2 feet down. Walk in place. Come to stillness and maybe close your eyes. Feeling your palms making contact. Walk them a little bit away from your chest and then begin to open them, creating that space. See if you can feel the energy between your hands, growing it and growing it. Find a comfortable energy ball and draw it down. Bring it back to heart center and see if you can draw it up, a little or a lot. And then palms come together, hands to heart center, and release it, shake it out. All right, let's come down to our mats, and I want to finish up our down dog practice. I told you the last week that I taught that as we were working through the sun salute, Surya Namaskar, that we really need to have the strength of down dog and the strength of our planks. And again, there are variations that can work for most of us, and but we can also work a little to build our strength. So we're going to come into a down dog from table pose. Again, if table does not work for you, please feel free to do this standing or to opt out and come into child's pose until we're ready to move on. So from table, we're going to walk our hands a little bit further out, a little bit wider. Make sure that your index fingers are pointing straight ahead, your thumbs in towards the center, your fingers spreading wide from there. Take what I've heard called the eye of your elbow, the inside of your elbow, and begin to turn it forward. Now, it may not come all the way pointing forward, but the idea is to get that little bit of external rotation in your shoulders. So imagine that you've got a beach ball, you can bend your elbows a little bit, between your elbows, and you want to squeeze in and hug it. Don't let it drop. From here, we're going to curl toes under. Make sure your feet are at least hip distance apart. And in a moment, I'm going to have us press our hips up and back. Don't go yet. One of the things that often happens, just watch, is that people wind up here. And that is a lot of weight in your hands, in your shoulders. And the difference that we're looking for is, remember the first down dog that we did on the chair, we were kind of in this position. And then the second one, we extended and reached. And that helps us to find that long spine with the bottom reaching towards the ceiling. Okay, whenever you're ready, curl your toes under, press into your hands, and lift your hips. Let your knees bend. Maybe once you find this position, if you're comfortable to stay for a moment, you may bend one knee, pressing the other heel towards the ground, and switch. And do that a few times. We call that walking our dog. If you're feeling like this is an enormous amount of weight in your hands, first try bending your knees a little more and sending your hips up and back. If it's too much at any point, please go ahead and come down. In fact, let's all bend our knees and slowly come back down. Walk your hands in and let's shake out through our wrists. So I'm hoping that you were able to notice the difference between that more kind of plank position versus the extended position that we need for down dog, so that our shoulders and back are what's working, not our hands and our pecs and our biceps. So we'll continue working with this. If this is not your bag, that's fine, and we'll work with other ways of strengthening and stretching as well. From here, go ahead and make your way all the way on to your back. Let your knees be bent, your feet on the ground, knees and feet about hip distance apart. Bring your hands down at your sides, palms down. Make sure there's nothing underneath your head for this practice. Inhale here and then exhale and press the small of your back into the mat. Inhale and release the press and create the curve in your low back. Exhale and press, pelvic tilt. Inhale and reestablish the natural curve, maybe exaggerate it just a hair. So we're almost doing a cat-cow in this position. It's not quite as full as a cat-cow. We've got the ground beneath us. Just a couple more. Noticing if this is sticky or fluid. And then come to stillness. Bring your arms up in front of you, overhead, and just shake them out. Bring your palms together, interlace your fingers, and just roll your wrists around just a little bit. Gently, don't press hard. And then turn your palms out and press your arms up in front of you or overhead if you're lying down, as you are. I'm sitting up. Stretch through your fingers and then bring palms together, fingers interlaced. Again, maybe rock and roll a little bit. And then release, hands down at your sides once again. We'll move into a bridge practice. Inhale here, exhale and settle. And then next inhale, press into your feet and lift your hips an inch or more off the mat. Let your arms relax at your sides or even press down a little bit. Exhale and slowly release your hips back to the mat. Inhale, press into the feet. Keep your knees in line where they are and lift the hips. Open the front of the hip sockets. Exhale and slowly bring the hips back down. Stay with this practice of lifting and lowering, or you can add some arm movement. You may be done with arms after our plank and down dog practice, but maybe you'd like to move them around. So I think you can see me, yes. On your inhale, press into your feet, lift your hips, and lift your arms. They can come up overhead or out in goddess arms. Stay here and exhale. Lower your hips about halfway down. Inhale, press into your feet, lift a little higher. And this time as you exhale, lower your hips and lower your arms. Inhale, hips and arms if you like. This time, exhale, keep your arms where they are and lower your hips all the way down. Inhale, press into your feet and lift your hips up. And then exhale and lower hips and arms. Take your time working with your bridge practice. You can stay with gentle lifts and lowering, or add the arm movement. Add some holding. Let's take another few breaths to work through your bridge practice. And coming towards some conclusion of the practice, when you're ready, draw your knees in, hug them in, maybe rock a little bit from side to side. And then holding on to one leg, I'm going to bring both my hands to my right knee. I'm going to lower my left leg and extend it long. Now this may be too much, so just keep it bent, or try extending and pressing out through your heel. You can stay right here, or if it would feel good, bring your hands behind your thighs and press your foot up towards the ceiling. You do not have to straighten your legs. Feeling this oppositional stretch. One leg is reaching long and down, so straight out from the hip. The other is at that 90-degree angle or more or less, pressing up towards the ceiling. If you're holding behind your thigh, press your thigh into your hand and resist the press. And then release that pressure, release your leg down and bend both knees. When you're ready, draw both knees in, noticing if you feel a difference between one leg and the other. And then hang on to the opposite knee. Slowly lower the other leg, maybe sliding out, pressing out through the heel. Notice if this side is different because of your biology or your history. And be respectful. Stay right here, or perhaps hold behind the thigh and press the foot up towards the ceiling. Keep flexing the extended leg, the ankle, pressing out through the heel. Press the other foot up towards the ceiling, the sky. If you're holding the back of your thigh, try pressing into your hands and resisting that press. Holding the pressure, and then gently release it and let the legs come down. Bend both knees and walk your feet out wide. Let your knees drop from side to side. Just a comfortable, gentle twisting motion. You can stay with this twist, maybe dropping your knees to one side and pausing, or bring your arms out at shoulder height, palms down, at a T, or even goddess arms. Draw your legs closer together, maybe crossing one leg over the other. So I'm going to cross my left leg over my right. I'm going to press into my foot, lift my hips, and scoot them over towards the right side, and then let the knees drop. If this is too much in your back, then back up. Release your legs. You can stack your knees, or you can come back to the twist we started with. This is sometimes called an eagle leg twist. Your head can stay in the center. You can look away from your knees or even towards your knees. It's a different stretch. Stay for as many breaths as you like, coming up gently on an inhale when you're ready, and you'll switch sides. Try to keep both shoulders down, opening across the chest, breathing into any sensation. And of course, if anything is uncomfortable or too much, please come out, go back to an earlier version, or rest. Take your time finishing up with your twist. And when you're done, draw your knees in once again, and then take a moment to complete your practice. Is there a pose that's missing, a movement that your body is asking for in order to let go and come into your rest pose, your Shavasana? Take your time to complete your practice and then make your way into Shavasana, comfortably supported. When you arrive in Shavasana, and please take your time, allow your legs to be heavy, your hips and shoulders to be heavy. Let your arms be heavy. Maybe you have them with hands on your belly. Maybe your arms are out. Have your palms open, whether they're up or down. Relaxing through the neck and shoulders. Softening your jaw and all the muscles around your mouth. Relax the muscles around your eyes. Softening and widening your forehead. Releasing that spot right between your eyebrows. Feel the energy moving, moving through your body, from your toes all the way up to the crown of your head, from the crown of your head all the way down to your toes, and a little bit past. From that space towards your toes, all the way up to the crown of your head, and a little bit past. Keep moving your energy through the body and out into space until you're ready to simply rest. Let go of the idea that you are strong, you are weak, you are sick. Completely let go. But by letting go, we need to go to the source of health itself. Immerse yourself in the all-pervading, unlimited, unceasing, no beginning, no end, an unchanging reality. Allow yourself to go into truth absolute that is here and now, at your beck and call, that is beyond birth, death, old age, disease. Realize that this body and mind is changing at this very moment. It is unreal, so be detached. Cease to identify with this body and this mind. Meditate on the self that is unchanging, stable, ancient, that is real, true, beyond separation, beyond feelings of solitude or the feeling of not being understood. Peace to you, to all that connect with you in the present and the past. Peace to the whole world. May all be free from disease. May all be free from ignorance. May all be liberated in due time. Swami Sitaramananda. Begin to deepen your breath, bringing small movements into fingers and toes. When you feel ready, roll to one side and pause. And then press into your hands to slowly make your way back up to sitting, allowing your attention to stay deeply inward for another moment or two. Let's seal our practice with one chant of Om for the community that we create when we practice together. Bringing hands to heart center, we'll inhale together. Om Shanti, peace, peace, peace. Namaste. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me and with each other.